Crusader Caravans in Campbellfield Victoria. Today, with one of our handover tutorial videos, we're going to be showing you how to operate the Dometic AE8300 splash granite Dometic awning. Today on our Musketeer Warrior that we've just received, it's a 14-foot splash granite awning with black arms. The splash granite awnings in 2020, you'll notice have the little grabbers on the side here. So that little grabber there actually houses the back and front arm together and sandwiches it. And some of the bigger awnings you'll see from Crusader, it'll have the center little cup that'll hold the awning. It stops it from bouncing. So you can see right there with a bit of push, it's actually not going to be bouncing whilst it's in transit. This awning here is self-supporting, so it doesn't require that center cup, but some of the larger awnings where it goes up to 17, 18 and 19, you'll have that center grabber just to make sure it doesn't do that bounce maneuver whilst it's traveling. The first thing we're going to do to be able to operate our awning is we assess the weather. So straight away, we want to make sure that before we pull it out, it's not a windy day. Today, we're actually on our Pro Mat flooring where we do our handovers, so we're not going to be pulling out the whole way and putting the legs out, but we will show you a small example of how that would be done. But it's really important to note that before you use your awning, the wind condition is absolutely critical to keep an eye on. If it's at all windy, as you need to be bringing that awning in. People ask us all the time, well, how windy is too windy? If you think your awning should not be up in the current conditions, probably a smart idea to probably just wind it back in. The awnings are the biggest claim in an insurance company ever, because normally people leave them out in wind, wake up the next morning, awnings sort of flown off into the distance in a little hurricane that happened overnight. So really just keep an eye on the awning and the weather conditions before you go to the next stage. So the first thing we're going to do to be able to pull our awning out is we're going to get our short man stick that comes with your Crusader Caravan in the tunnel boot. Second thing we're going to do is we're going to hold it like so, and you'll notice the ratchet strap up here says roll down and roll up. Roll down, roll up. So what do we want? We want to be able to roll it down. So we're going to go click. That's the ratchet strap there. Now this is a cam lock system. So the cam lock system has this big twisty cone to about here and a big twisty cone to about here. And the only thing that's holding that tension on is the tension control unit inside of the awning barrel. And this little ratchet allows it to come in and out, so it takes that guard off. The center bolt just here is absolutely imperative. Do not take it out. People all the time come in, they're like, oh no, my awning's gone loose. And what they've done is they've put a little eyelet clip just up here to actually hold the awning down with a ratchet strap or something, which is a fantastic idea in theory, but as soon as you take this off, the tension goes completely in the whole awning and blows the tension out completely, which means that the awning now has no tension. The customer can't actually wrap their awning up unless you do it by hand. And it also means that it's going to cost you about $300 to roll it back in properly. So we've rolled down. Now what we want to do is we want to get the center clip just here and we want to go to the side. We also want to loosen the black clip just like so. We loosen, not completely loose, not fall off in your hands, not slip off and lose spare parts, little bit loose. So just as a final example here, that's wound nice and tight. We just want to go 1 and 2. That's it, really, really loose. So that way it allows for that free movement, no impingements, but it also means that it's not going to fall off in your hand, because once that comes off, the little nut that's holding that on is so difficult to actually get back into place. You really want to be mindful of that. So we're just going to go over here. We're going to do the same thing. The only thing we're not going to do is there's nothing to click up on this top section. So we go 1 and 2, just like so, and we leave it just like that. So then what we want to do is we want to, with our short man stick, get our little tension strap just like so, and we want to guide it in like a fishing eye, and we want to pull out all the way. Nice and easy. So it is called a splash granite awning for the pure premise that it goes from dark to white. So when it wraps up black. So that way we do that with all of our models to make sure that they don't get dirty, and that way you don't see any of that dark charcoaly stain. So come around to the side. We make our way to the side. So what we've got here is we've got two arms that move in unison. So what we've got here is we've got the first arm. First arm goes all the way up to this grey little lock point just up in here, and that can be released just by placing your hands underneath the awning to this bottom clip here and pulling down, and then that'll just slide back to home position. One thing that's absolutely critical, and the #1 error that people make when they're using these awnings, is they need to return everything home. So I always use the metaphor for when I'm speaking with people, to be able to say to them, this here is just like the Steven Spielberg movie, we've got E.T. So E.T. phone home, everything needs to come home to a little E.T. over here. So this little nut here is E.T. The factory set this height measurement from the actual height of the awning, that depending on the van height, depending on where the awning is, the factory set this little nut height. Sometimes they differ on each end depending on the level of height that the van's set on from front to back. But what's really important is if you, for instance, were to put the awning up like so and then try to retract the awning, two things of issue here. One, this arm's all the way down, and secondly as well, you've got this little point just here, which is not at home. ET has not been found, so everything needs to go back to ET. Everything needs to come home to the bolt. That is the #1 thing you need to take from this tutorial. Everything must come home. If everything comes home and it winds back up, you're never gonna have a problem. Little fact for you, just a duck under here. We've got just on this awning slip a little label. So some people ask us, oh, how big is my awning? So see this number here, it says N13.4. This is a 13-foot awning. So when people say, what sort of shade screen should I get to slide into this little track just like here? I always tell them, just have a look at your little slip or have a look at your plans, but it's a 13-foot awning. Saves any error as far as trying to step it out. Normally the width is one set, I think it's about 2.2 meters or 2.3 meters. They come as a set size. So when you're buying the shade screens or annexes for that matter, that is gonna be able to tell you the exact size just by that 13-foot awning just there. Now, I'm gonna show you one side at a time to be able to set this up because I don't have a partner to do it. But what we're gonna do is first arm all the way. So that is locked in right there at the gray little clip. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a little wrestling move here. We're gonna put a bit of tension on the arm. So arm down, forearm down, see that nice and straight? So when that loosens, the arm retracts, it gets a floppy awning. So that gets nice and tight, and then we just tighten that up beautifully tight. So that there now cannot move, it's locked in. Then what we're gonna do is inside this awning arm here, we've got a little arrow, a little red arrow. So I'm gonna bring the arm of the awning up just past that little red arrow. So, just like so. So that's one stage done. We're gonna go around to the second side and do the exact same thing here. So what we've got is, we're gonna loosen this arm, we're gonna go all the way up. Again, karate move, we're gonna lock it in nice and tight. Ooh, just like that. Then again, the little arrow in here, we're just gonna go past that, bang, locked in. Now if you can take a step back, our awning is erect, our awning is up, our awning is ready to go. So that is a very, very easy, simple setup. Now people often ask, what if I want to be able to have this area here, a nice, free-flowing, easy to walk through awning setup? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna drop this arm, like so, right down to ET, right down to our little bolt. We're gonna lift up this little handle just here and we're gonna pull it off the van. We're then gonna walk it into setup instruction mode. So this now has a full free opening area. Now I cannot stress this enough. Awnings are the #1 insurance claim item because people just either don't put them up properly, don't reinforce them, they don't follow instructions. So as you can imagine, look how easy this is here. So easy. A nice gust of wind can grab this, it can flip it up, go right around. 4 grand later, we're absolutely bleeding. It's wrecked half our holiday waiting for parts, especially with everything going on in the world at the moment. You can wait some substantial time for spare parts. Do the right thing. Strap this down, hold this down, pin it down with some coach screws or some coach bolts, some nice big pins, some nice big pegs, something that He-Man himself would have to drive into the ground to be able to get out. That way you know wholeheartedly that everything's okay. Invest in some roof rafters. Roof rafters are a center bar, cost about $110 each. They drill into the awning here, just as a little hole, it loops up, and it actually bows the awning out so water cannot sit on the top of the awning. The other thing you can do is invest in an anti-flap kit from Aussie Traveller. They're one of the best. So all vans normally with Crusader will suit a medium anti-flap kit. They're available in black and white. Again, it slots into this port just here and it goes all the way up, hooks into a little clasp up the top there installed by your dealer, grabs this here, holds this here, and it will stop that flap. That way, at least when you go to bed at night, you know you've got extra security. If a gust of wind or something comes through, you're protected on both angles, just like an extra insurance policy. It also means that you're gonna get the most out of this awning. This awning realistically should give you 10 years of fun, providing you look after it. And the way to look after it is you make sure you don't put it back whilst it's wet, you make sure it dries, you make sure you give it a clean. Don't let algae, moss, any of that sort of fun stuff build up on the awning. You wanna make sure that absolutely everything you can do to look after your investment is put back into one of these awnings. You can have annexes and stuff installed across the states with Crusader. It's a national install with those sort of items, and it's been installed professionally at this time as well. We're now gonna pack the awning down. So first things first, we need to make this arm go back to ET. So let's do that. First one, click all the way down. Thank you very much. Then second part, we're gonna loosen this knob. So loosen, beautiful. Then I'm gonna break this arm here and I'm gonna pull this all the way back. So now, straight away, before I even leave this spot, before I go and talk to Darren, before I grab a beer out of the fridge to be able to retire for this evening, I need to make sure that 2 things are done on this side. This arm is back, this arm is back. ET, everything is happy with ET, everything's back home. So we'll make our way across the other side now. So we're going to come over here again. First systems first. Awning all the way down to the ET phone home nut just there. We're going to loosen the black spindle knob. We're going to loosen him off. See how much tension's there? So it's fantastic. You want to be able to put that much pressure through it, which is great. Again, everything comes back. This guy's now back home. ET's now back home. Everything is sweet, ready to roll. So that means that now I can put my awning away. I don't need two people to be able to put the awning away with me. I can do it single-handedly, and I'm going to show you the proper way and not the lazy way of putting this back. To put this back the proper way and not the lazy way you'll see it. The guy stands here and he's got his little stick. Maybe he might have his stick. Sometimes he might just let it go. He clicks this, he puts it to one side. Thank you very much, easy done. Now the problem here is by putting the rope on one side, it puts pressure all the way across the awning and the left-hand side is going to jam whilst you pull it out. The number one reason we have people bring the awnings in is for realignment, and the realignment process is caused because the customer hasn't put it back properly. And old Bob, when he's been there putting it back, no offense to the Bobs hanging around, he hasn't put it back properly and it means that the awning's now jarred. It's like when you've been walking with a crook hip for a while, the whole side of you needs to be realigned nice and straight. So that's what we're going to do with this process. So, it consists of a dance and a squiggle. So I'll show you the dance and the squiggle. We hold it nice and tight, take the tension off of it. We click our roll up button. So now that tension, you can feel it. If I let this go, it'll go right away. You can see it. The tension's ready to go. So we are going to keep pressure on this hand. I am walking all the way to the center. Now, I am applying equal pressure across the whole awning rail. So what we're gonna do is, we wanna make sure that this here goes back nice and even. Beautiful. Okay, second part. Now comes the squiggle. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the awning rope back as if it was in a snake track method. So we go like so. See how we're going from left to right? It just means that over a long period of time, you're not going to get that same consistent boring line where that rope's able to sit in that one spot and cause that awning defect in that vinyl. So by spreading it evenly across, you're not going to get that same consistent line. So just here with our short man stick, we hold it and we go left to right. Thank you very much. So it just goes back nice and even. So before we travel, there's two more things we need to do on each side. One, we need to spin that black dial as nice and tight. So I always tell customers, spin the dial towards the front of the caravan. If you spin it towards the front, there's no loosey-goosey, righty-tighty here. It all just goes towards the front. By pinching and grabbing the front and back arm, we then go click. All those sorts of Velcro you see that people use, it's really quite redundant with this because the thing is, this little grabber here grabs front and back very, very efficiently. Again, the back section as well, we're going to grab him, pinch him, flick him, and we're going to spin nice and tight. By doing that, you'll get the absolute longest time out of your awnings, and Crusader are going to be able to make sure that you have an absolute blast with your caravan. We're not going to have to change any canvas, we're not going to have to change any vinyl. But again, if something goes wrong with the awning, do not feel bad. It is the biggest claim within the caravan industry within insurance companies. Guys, thank you very much for watching our video. If you have any helpful tints, please give us a call on 9359 2938. Give us an email at sales@crusadermelbourne.com. Head to the website, www.crusadercaravansmelbourne.com.au for more of these like videos, or alternatively, like and subscribe for more. Thank you very much for your time.